Hello students. As I have promised, I thought of discussing a few questions from past O-level papers. So I have selected 2018 O-level paper, part 1, paper 1. And today I will discuss the first 10 MCQs. So when I discuss about these multiple choice questions, you know that there are 40 questions to be answered within 1 hour. And therefore the time management is very important. First, what you have to do is you have to read the questions very carefully, because it's most of the students don't see the words properly, the terms properly, like is, are, isn't, aren't, then true statement, false statement. Most of you go wrong because you panic to find the answer. So read the questions very carefully and mark the answers on the question paper itself. Then if you find a particular question is hard, then just skip that, and once you have touched all the 40 questions, you can come back to those questions that you found somewhat difficult, and you try to find the answer. And these should be done within the first 35 to 40 minutes. And after that, very carefully you have to mark the answers on the MCQ answer script. So there you have to refer with the question number. For example, first question, the answer is the third one. Likewise, very carefully, by checking the question number, you have to mark the answers on the answer script. Don't leave any question without answering. Mark all the 40 questions, and it's better to keep the answer script very neat and tidy. And when talking about discussing or trying to answer the MCQs, I think it's a very good method to revise your subject matter, because these questions are based on different places in your syllabus. So you will be able to revise most of the subject matter by answering the 40 questions in a MCQ paper. For example, in the first question, you will be able to revise the theory component based on Kingdom Plantae. So if you feel that you can't remember the theory component related to this question, after answering the questions, you can just check your notes and just revise that part, rather than sitting in front of the table and going through the notes in an order, first unit to second unit to third unit. Likewise, the best method, best way of studying is to revise the things from here and there in the syllabus. So for that, MCQs will be very helpful to you. We'll start. First question is based on Kingdom Plantae. You are asked which of the following is an example for a plant which does not produce seeds. So if you can remember, Kingdom Plantae is divided into two categories based on the production or production of flowers. So the other two groups are non-flowering plants as well as flowering plants or angiosperms. Non-flowering plants are further divided into two categories: non-flowering seedless plants and non-flowering seed plants. These non-flowering seed plants are also known as gymnosperms because their seeds are not covered. They are naked seeds. So here it asks about non-flowering seedless plants. If we take the first two answers, these are Ficus pinus are examples for non-flowering seed plants. Fourth answer is a flowering plant, blue water lily, and Salvinia becomes the answer. It is a non-flowering seedless plant. If you can remember, there were certain other examples for this category, like Marcantia, Pogonatum, Nephrolepis, Drinaria, Acrosticum, likewise. So now, if you can't remember these, just go to your note and refer that. That's the way of studying. Then second question. the SI unit of force in fundamental units is. So, the SI unit of force is Newton, but here it asks about fundamental units. So, easily you can find the answer by referring to the equation F equals ma, which is associated with Newton's second law. So, there force is measured in Newton and F equals ma. So, the mass is taken in kilograms, that is the SI unit, and acceleration is measured in ms minus 2. So 1 Newton is equal to 1 kg ms minus 2. Therefore, the fundamental unit of force is kg ms minus 2. That is the first answer. Then we are moving on to the third question. Which of the following is a homogeneous mixture? In homogeneous mixtures, there is a uniform composition throughout. That is, the physical factors like density, transparency are uniform throughout the mixture. You cannot identify the components in the mixture separately in a homogeneous mixture. So, according to the answers given, wheat flour and water, wheat flour makes a suspension in water. Then coconut oil and water. Coconut oil forms a separate layer on water. Clay and water, clay, some of the clay particles will be deposited on the bottom, some will be suspended in water, and if you leave it for some time, all the particles will be deposited on the bottom of the container. Therefore, 1, 3 and 4 are examples for heterogeneous mixtures. But ethyl alcohol mix with water very well and it forms a homogeneous mixture. Therefore, the answer is the second one. Fourth question. Of the following statements, which is false about a silicon NPN transistor? When we talk about transistors, transistors have an amplifying action. A transistor can act as a signal amplifier as well as a current amplifier, and a transistor has a switching action as well. So here first answer is it can be used to amplify signals. It is correct. So you have to concentrate on the word false. Right? If you didn't see that term false, you will just panic and mark the first one as the answer. You won't read the other three answers as well. Therefore, read all the four answers as well as read the question carefully and select the most appropriate answer. Second one, it can be used as a switch. That is also correct. Then third one, it can be used as a current amplifier. That is also considered to be correct. Fourth statement, it can be used to rectify alternating voltages. For the rectification of alternating voltages, we are using diodes. So there are two types of rectification, half wave rectification and full wave rectification. For half wave rectification, we can use a single diode, that is known as a rectifying diode as well. For full wave rectification, we are using a rectification bridge or a bridge circuit. So rectifying alternating voltages is not a function of transistor, but it is a function of a rectifying diode. Therefore, we select the fourth answer. Number 5. If an object is to stay in equilibrium, under three forces, there are two instances where an object can stay in equilibrium under three forces. One type is this. The three forces are not parallel. You can see there are three forces A, B and C, and these in purple color I have drawn the lines of action of forces. You can see all the three lines of action of forces meet at a single point. That is one requirement for an object to be balanced under three forces which are not parallel. And you can see all the three forces are coplanar. They are acting on the same plane. Then the next requirement is the resultant of any two forces should be equal in magnitude and opposite in direction to the third force. For example, here I have selected forces B and C. The resultant of these two forces are shown in red color, and this resultant is equal to the force A in magnitude, and these two are opposite in direction. Then only the object will be balanced. So the requirements are: first one, the three forces are coplanar. Then the lines of action of forces should meet at a single point, and the resultant of any two forces should be equal in magnitude and opposite in direction to the third force. Then an object can be balanced under three forces which are parallel as well. They are, again, the three forces are coplanar. They are acting on the same plane, and one force must have a direction opposite to the other two forces. Here this force has a direction opposite to the other two forces, and the resultant of any two forces must be equal in magnitude and opposite in direction to the third force. The resultant of P and Q forces will be acting here, and it should be equal in magnitude to the force R and opposite in direction. Then the object will be balanced. An example for this instance is we can take a tube light. So they are in the tube light, it is hung from the two ends. Therefore P and Q forces will be acting upwards, and R is the weight of the tube light, so it will be acting downwards. And here you can take a picture which is hung by using two strings. Okay, now we'll move on to the answers given. First one, the resultant force of two forces should be in the same direction as that of the remaining force. You know, if the resultant is also to the same direction of the remaining force, there is an unbalanced force acting on the object. Therefore, the object will not be in equilibrium. Therefore, the first statement is wrong. Second one, the resultant force of the three forces should be zero. Yes, the resultant of these three forces should be zero. Then only the object will be at equilibrium. For example, here the resultant of B and C is equal to A in magnitude and opposite in direction, but the final resultant is 0. And here when we take the two forces P and Q, the resultant of these two is equal and opposite to the third force, which is R. Then the ultimate resultant force acting on the system is 0. Therefore, for an object to be balanced under any number of forces, the resultant should be 0. Therefore, we can consider the second answer as the correct one. The third answer, the three forces should be coplanar. Okay, the three forces should be coplanar. There may be certain instances where they are acting on different planes as well, but here we are considering the forces which are coplanar only. So in MCQs you are supposed to select the most appropriate answer. Therefore the most appropriate answer is the second one. Fourth answer, the lines of action of the three forces should meet at the same point. That is relevant only for three forces which are not parallel. When the three forces are parallel, the three forces should not meet at the same point. It happens only in this instance. Therefore, the most appropriate answer is the second one. So, this is a question that you have to logically think and answer. Then we'll move on to question number 6. In the urine filtration process taking place in kidneys, which of the following is filtered into the glomerulus from blood? So if you have watched my video based on the human excretory system, you learned about everything. So there the urine formation is of 3 steps. So the first step is ultrafiltration. There, due to the high blood pressure inside the glomerulus, certain components in blood are filtered into the glomerular filtrate. So there you learned that blood cells and the plasma proteins are not filtered. And here platelets are also considered to be fragments of cells. Therefore, the answer should be the third one. Glucose is filtered into glomerulus from blood. Then regarding the process of selective reabsorption, you have learned in a healthy person 100% of glucose is reabsorbed into blood. Therefore, no glucose will be sent through urine in a healthy person. But this does not happen in the patients who are suffering from diabetes. Here our answer is the third answer. The typical cell is, a typical cell is a cell which is sometimes a hypothetical structure which is used to learn about all the cellular organelles. So a typical cell contains all the cellular organelles. So we look at the 4 answers. You have to read all the 4 answers. The structural and functional unit of life. That is okay, but not for a typical cell. It is the cell. The cell is the structural and functional unit of life. The cell that gives origin to some other cell. Okay, that also happens, but it is not relevant to a typical cell. The cell that can undergo division. That is a common feature for a cell. Fourth one, the constructed cell that contains all the organelles. So a typical cell contains all the cellular organelles. It is a constructed or a hypothetical structure. We can select the fourth answer. If you didn't go through all the 4 questions, most probably you will panic and mark the first answer. So it is wrong. The typical cell, you have to read all the 4 answers and select the most appropriate answer. Number 8. Which of the following equipment is based on phenomenon of electromagnetic induction? This is also a place where you have to be careful. Electromagnetism and electromagnetic induction are 2 different things. They are in electromagnetism. Once we consider the direct current motor, loudspeaker, electric bell, their electromagnetism is used. That means once we provide electricity, we can obtain magnetic properties. But in electromagnetic induction, what happens is due to the change in magnetic field lines or due to the cut in magnetic flux, an electromotive force is induced. So that is what we call as electromagnetic induction. So here the answer is the fourth one, moving coil magnetic microphone. Once we study about this unit, you will be able to select the answer very easily. Other examples for electromagnetic induction are the bicycle dynamo, alternating current dynamo. There, in all these instances, due to the change in magnetic flux, an electromotive force is generated. Number 9. Of the fruits shown in the following diagrams, which could be a fruit that has suitable adaptations to be dispersed by water. So here you have to revise about the fruit and seed dispersal. So some of the fruits and seeds are dispersed by animals, some of them are dispersed through water, some of them are dispersed by wind, and some of them are dispersed by explosive mechanisms. So here the first one, you can see there are hook-like structures. So these are important to get attached to an animal body. So then the animal will take this to another place and remove. So this is adapted to be dispersed by animals. When we move on to the third one, you can see there are wing-like structures. So this is adapted to be dispersed through wind. And fourth one, again there are hair-like projections. Then this can also get attached to an animal body and it can be dispersed by animals. So the most appropriate answer is the second one, because you know a fruit which is adapted to be dispersed by water contains a pericarp which is fibrous as well as porous. An example is coconut, areca nut, then Ceylon almond. So these contain fibrous pericarps which contain pores. This will give a buoyancy to that fruit to float on water. Right, the answer is number 2. Then the last question for today, that is question number 10. There you are given certain statements regarding catalysts. Consider the following statements about catalysts. You know, a catalyst is a substance which will speed up the rate of a chemical reaction without participating or without being consumed within the reaction. So catalysts will speed up the chemical reactions. Statement A, catalysts increase as well as decrease reaction rates. So here with a pencil you can mark whether this is correct or wrong. Catalysts increase as well as decrease reaction rates. That is wrong, because catalysts will increase the rate of reaction. Rate of reaction will be decreased by inhibitors. Right. Then so A is wrong. Then B. Though catalysts take part in chemical reaction, they are not consumed during the reaction. That is correct. The catalyst will speed up the reaction, but it is not consumed within the reaction, but its nature will be changed. For example, if you insert a catalyst in the crystal form, it will be converted into powder form at the end of the reaction, but the dry mass of it has not been changed. That means it has not been consumed within the reaction. A small amount of catalyst is adequate for a large amount of reactants. That is also correct. We don't need a large amount of catalyst to speed up a chemical reaction. We need a very little amount of the catalyst. Therefore, statements B and C are correct. Therefore, you can select the answer only B and C. So these are also types of questions which needs your proper concentration on the question paper. Okay, hope you got an idea about studying by using the multiple choice questions. So we'll meet again with another set of questions.